First of all, I want to say thank you for every single one of you that are watching my videos, to those that actually subscribed. And if you have not subscribed yet, I really appreciate if you do so. You will always learn something new on this channel, and I'm pretty sure I'll provide you with some valuable information, especially if you're trying to make money in DOORDASH, or trying to open up a business, or trying to run a business and have questions. I would love to help you and answer those. And if you're driving for DOORDASH, I'll try to help you get to that $20+ an hour on average. Now, I would really appreciate if you guys could like the video and click the bell if you have not done so, to be notified whenever I have a new video. Now, something else I want to actually mention before I start on the topic is there's a lot of information in my head, and I need you guys' help to extract it. So I want you guys to ask questions. You guys can also contact me directly. If you guys go to About page, you'll find my phone number, my email there, where you'll be able to contact me directly. End of the day, I want to help you guys, and I also want you guys to help me extract the information that will benefit you as well as others. I do these live videos every morning, Monday to Friday at least, whenever I'm on my way to Lexington. About a 40+ minute ride, and I take advantage of that. Instead of having a lost time, is actually share something with you. So, taxes or income tax, especially for those people that have been a W-2 employee for most of their life, and then they're introduced to a 1099 job. I'm sorry, I already probably confused the W to W4. Been a 1099 and self-employed for 21 years. I don't even remember what. I think W4 is for the employees. It's kind of, it's a new territory. It's a territory that for a lot of people, they do not know how to behave. At the same time, if you guys study the income tax rules and regulations, some people might want to call it laws, you guys will discover that employee is being taxed the highest. You can talk with your accountant and he will tell you the same thing. The benefits is actually for those that are actually self-employed. So, let's talk on that topic. First of all, I'm not an accountant. So any information that I'm gonna, hey, how's it going? That I'm going to share with you is any information I'm going to share with you, consider that as for entertainment purposes only. But remember, it's been 21 years I've been self-employed, so I actually have some information that I'm going to share. But the information I'm going to share, you need to verify with your account, because I learned all that and recently, actually, for the last about 10 years, I've been using an accountant to do my taxes. But before that, I used to do my taxes myself. And how it all started is I actually went to a bookstore and bought myself Income Tax for Dummies. And that's how I actually learned. So as a self-employed, and either you're a sole proprietorship or a limited liability, but as long as you are running it not as a corporation, but as what you're going to do, you're going to file your 1040, which is going to be standard. You're going to file Schedule C, which in Schedule C, you're going to break down by categories all your business expenses. Now, I'm not going to go into details what those business expenses are, because these are something that you have to sit down with an accountant and figure out those categories. Or probably the best is actually call up account and say, hey, I'm doing a DoorDash. I'm also doing this and that. Can you actually put together for me a list of categories and email me so I actually know how to actually break down my business expenses? And that's how you would set up your QuickBooks or whatever other accounting tool you'll be doing. Keep one thing in mind. A lot of people, bring a bag of receipts to an accountant and drop it on their door, on their table, and suspect him to do your taxes. Very rarely you'll find an accountant that actually willing to do bookkeeping. So he'll sit down and first put all those receipts in a book like QuickBooks or any other accounting software, and then actually do taxes for you based on that. Most accountants will actually take what is industry standard deduction for your category. So like you're a delivery driver, you'll actually look up on the web what is the industry standard is, and instead of putting what you brought him in the receipts based on your income, he will actually put those numbers in. So that's why I encourage you to either use QuickBooks. I can actually teach you guys how to set up even in Google Sheets. So you guys can use Google Sheets, but whatever way you're doing it, you need to make sure you're doing it properly. Now, I also recommend having a separate bank account for your business. Now, depends on what kind of business category you're in. Not category, business type you're going to use, either a corporation, sole proprietorship, or a limited liability. Setup might be a little different. So what you're going to do, you're going to have all your income come into that business account. In that business account, you're going to have all business expenses. And then you're going to write yourself a check into your personal account, and then from the personal account, you're going to cover your personal expenses. This way, if IRS ever comes to audit you, they're not going to find, I forgot the word, mingling or something like that, how to pronounce the word correctly, where you actually mix up personal as business, because according to IRS law, it is illegal to mix personal and business expenses together. And when they're coming out of one account, it's considered already as mix. Also, another thing that you want to keep in mind, if you forgot your personal debit card at home and you're out and doing grocery shopping, be careful using that business account for your personal purchase, because it also becomes an issue with that. So, I already mentioned you're going to have 1040, you're going to have Schedule C, you're going to also have, I don't remember the phone number for your vehicle expense, and we're primarily going to, for majority of us, we drive fairly a economical vehicle, so you're going to actually go and use your mileage for deduction. Those of you that actually have a vehicle that actually brakes a lot, it might be actually wise. That's why in a software you put in both your actual vehicle expense and your mileage, and then calculate which one is actually worth better for you to use on your taxes. Now, you do want to actually talk with your accountant about all this, but especially you want to touch and base about, can you do 1 year actual vehicle expense and then next year on the same vehicle mileage expense? Because my understanding, if you start mileage expense on that vehicle, you have to do mileage expense all the way every year, and vice versa. But I might be wrong there. You also keep in mind that any information I'm providing, the laws and everything changing so fast that it's hard to keep up. And I'm not an accountant, so I'm not keeping up. So some of this information might not be accurate. So that's why it's very important to take the notes. Going to see your accountant, actually touch bases on those things. Then you actually go into, there's another form that you're going to actually write off your office expense. It's very important that you have an office for your gig business at your home. Now, talk with your accountant on that. I'm not sure how much information I can give you, but one of the things keep in mind, when you have your office at home, your mileage starts from home. When you have an office somewhere else, that means you cannot deduct mileage going to your office, mileage from going from your office to actually perform services. And I might be wrong on that, but I believe that's how it actually still is. So taxes is something that I want to actually remind you guys. When police officer pulls you over, you are innocent until proven guilty. And he can actually during the process, create a proof through under which grounds he'll either write you a ticket or arrest you that you are guilty based on his opinion. But when it comes down to IRS, you are guilty until proven innocent. So you're going to ask yourself a question, and that you are guilty until proven innocent, that means you are driving down the road, you're making your money already guilty. Every single person that receives a check in their life, they're already guilty. Guilty of what? Until proven innocent. So be careful with your taxes, because they don't play around. Another advice that for those that are actually making a good income, spend a little bit more and find an accountant that actually works within a firm that has an attorney on their payroll to be used just in case IRS have questions. Because see, there's a two difference between an accountant and I forgot the letters. It's actually an attorney for you to represent you with IRS. They have quite a bit of power. So when you get a regular accountant, a lot of times he will take no responsibility whatsoever and walk away, and most likely won't even answer your phone calls when you run into issues with IRS. Now, if you have an accountant, an attorney within that firm, that accountant will actually turn over your situation to that attorney, and that attorney will proceed with IRS based on information you provided them, and they have to resolve the situation you might have with IRS. I went through that, and that's the reason why today, and for the last 11 since 2006, so that's be what, 15 years? For 15 years now, that's the reason why I use a particular firm, and I don't pay cheap to them, but I know that whenever a problem comes, and actually at one point it did arise, they have taken care of me. They went in, they talked with IRS, they resolved the issue, and now I got a call and said, hey, you will have to pay $250 fee. And they actually covered the fee that I paid annually for my taxes, automatically covers that service for me. So very beneficial for me to use that. So guys, don't play around with your taxes. Make sure that even if you use a cheap tax agent, make sure that he properly fills out your Schedule C. Like I mentioned in the beginning, and I would recommend all of you that watching or actually start watching this video from in the middle, so always go back to the beginning and watch from the beginning, because I don't like to repeat myself. But make sure that if your accountant not going to use actual numbers and actually going to use industry standard to file your taxes, make sure that you run your numbers, use some sort of a software, and make sure that those numbers are somewhat within the range. Now, one other thing I'll tell you, if accountants are using industry numbers instead of your real numbers to do your taxes, the chance of you getting audited is almost slim to zero. Now, if they use real numbers and your numbers are inflated, especially those like me driving an extra 50, 60 miles to dash, IRS might actually look and says, you know what, this driver's mileage are not realistic. So let's actually verify his actually logbook. Now, some of you might be using Gridwise or any other software, and I'll tell you, these software somewhat has glitches in them. That's why I actually use Gridwise. I use mileage on my vehicle, and I also, and since I have a vehicle dedicated for business only, that means, mileage at the beginning of the year, mileage at the end of the year, does that match a Gridwise? Also, does it matches, because I have an Android phone, and I have location enabled on my Google Maps account. So Google automatically also takes me a daily report of mileage. So then at the end of the year, I will actually compare all those three and find which two out of the three or four are actually the most closest, and those are the numbers I'll use, and those are going to be the report that I'll use for for IRS. If I ever get audited, I'll show those reports to them and say, hey, these are the miles driven based on DoorDash. That's quite an accurate report on trips, Uber as well, and say, hey, you guys need more. But keep in mind, when IRS agent shows up, don't open all the books. Only provide them that I ask you. That's why I recommend using a firm that actually knows what they're doing, and they'll show up on your behalf to IRS instead of you showing up. So guys, you have to be smart with IRS. It is illegal to evade paying taxes, so keep that in mind. But at the same time, they do not prohibit you to learn the rules and regulations of the taxes laws, where you can actually properly use those rules, use those guidelines to pay as minimum as you can. Remember, it's illegal for you to actually avoid paying taxes, but at the same time, they do provide you tools to do so as long as you're doing with those parameters. So guys, if you guys have any questions, definitely comment or go to the About page on the YouTube and contact me personally. But be wise. My personal opinion, mileage is going to deduct at least 30% of your earned income. That means the remaining 60 to 70 or less depends on how much you're making per mile, is where you will have to focus on making sure you deduct other expenses. Your office expense can be deducted. Actually, in certain cases, maybe even you can deduct some of the expenses you spend that actually you write out. I am not going to go into the topic, but talk with your accountant. Can you actually write some money off using your children in your business? That is another topic for you to think about and talking with your accountant. There's actually quite a bit of money you can write off. A lot of people don't even have a clue that they can actually do so. So not sure what else to say on that topic without actually, exposing myself to something that I might regret down the road. But all I want to say, there's somebody actually in the past told me, you need 3 people in your life. You need an attorney as a friend, you need an accountant as a friend, and you need a doctor as a friend. Hey, find somebody as an accountant that is actually a good accountant, so they can actually become the guy that you will use for the rest of your life, or the gal, as a person that actually will be guiding you, teaching you, letting you know of the changes that actually comes. So, because I can tell you one thing, most of you that started a road on gig work Most of you will not want to go back to a regular job. Some of you will be forced to because whatever the situation might be. But the rest of you, you're going to choose actually rather stay poor if you're not successful than actually go and get another job. And this is actually the road I chose because I knew that, first of all, I'll be paying less in taxes. Second of all, I'll have a control and there will be no ceiling that somebody's going to control me on earnings. And three, I can take off at any time. And you go on a vacation or do something else or completely change to another gig. And all it takes is what? Just turn one app off, turn another app on. Or turn completely the app off and go actually help somebody assemble a table. Or whatever the situation might be. It's that easy for us as gig workers to switch jobs, to at the same time not get paid by controlled ceiling, not have an employer, not having a boss that actually going to chew your neck off or sit on your shoulder and watch you every single button that you push on a keyboard. That's the part that we love and that's the part we enjoy. So when you make that choice, you also want to make sure that you cover yourself in taxes. So I highly would recommend go to the bookstore, get yourself taxes for a dummy or something down that line. Skip the employee part, and or maybe taxes for business, if they already have something like that for dummies, and start learning the area where the Schedule C, what you can write off. Make sure that it's also updated book based on 2021 or 2022. I don't know. Don't take something that's 2019 because it's too old. You want to stay current with your taxes. And learn. This will actually give you some base understanding and proper understanding of taxes. At the same time, you might actually say, you know what? I'm going to buy a TurboTax and actually do taxes myself this year. Why not? I know in the past, TurboTax used to charge like $10 or something, and they would actually have their attorneys present you with IRS just in case you have a situation. And it was quite cheap actually with them. But again, you're taking the full responsibility entering those numbers. Then they'll run it against national database and see how much your areas are not compatible to the national filings, and actually will let you those categories. They'll let you know and say, hey, this category is too low or this category is too high. If you're going to get a message that is too high, here's something you will need to do. You'll need to do, and you'll have to go through that category and make sure you have every receipt for that every category. Yes, there's some people say you don't need to have a receipt for anything less than $70. Hey guys, from my experience, even for 10 cents, keep that receipt. And keep it for 7 to 9 years, because you do not know when that question might arise. And you will need to keep your records up to 9 years. Anything, they say in 7 years, but I have heard that sometime, because of statute of limitation, that you as a taxpayer can actually renew your statute of limitations. That's why I'm giving you 9 years, because anything past 9 years, they cannot touch you. They cannot come after you, and you have legal rights to actually destroy those records after 9 years from the time of you filing taxes. So let's say example, not in the 2021 that we actually all worked, and right now, one other thing is, if you are going to be filing as receivable, then every dollar that you received in this year, and if you cash out daily, will be considered as this year taxes. Now, if you can be filing and you can be considered all your income as invoiced, that means you cannot invoice DoorDash, and your invoice DoorDash is automatically being done on the app to DoorDash. That means your invoice is not going to be done on your behalf until the midnight of Californian time on Sunday night. That means that all the income you're going to be making this week will go towards the next year income tax. So, that's another thing I wanted to actually, cover here. And I remember what I was talking about when I started talking on this thing. But guys, be wise, be smart, and take care of yourself, because no one else out there will do. And trust me, government is not on your side. They only have one interest, is to collect as much taxes as possibly they can. And if you do not know your rights, you do not know what protects you and what gives you legal rights, they might actually come and take advantage of you. So, I was talking about preparing taxes yourself with TurboTax. Yes, so make sure you verify that you have all those receipts. Those receipts properly sorted by month and in the envelopes, and just throw it in a box. Make sure if you're having multiple years in one box, which usually you probably will, make sure that you have dividers between each year. Shelve it, throw it in your attic, wherever it is, and keep it for 9 years, because it is important, and IRS has rights to come and audit you up to 9 years. After that, no longer have right. So, I have records that I, when I was moving from Florida to Idaho to Kentucky, that I destroyed, that I had for 14, 15 years, guys. It never hurts to have, but you're not required to have anything past 9 years. But again, talk with your accountant on that question again, because maybe something recently changed and I'm not aware of. So guys, be safe, be smart, go out, make your money. Remember, unless you're pulling those money daily and you're planning to do it on receivables, not based on invoices amounts, those money will go for next year. So start this next year nicely. Make that money, and I have a police in front of me, and make that income. Start that new year income as a big banger. Set the ground, set the foundation for this year, and say, you know what, this year's going to be different. It's no longer going to be the same. Oh, I don't feel like it. I'm going to go to the market that actually will allow me to make the money. I'm not going to sit in my small town and suspect miracles to happen, even though I'll tell you guys that in those small towns is some of the biggest tips that actually are being paid out. But at the same time, you might not be able to get on a schedule. You might have to burn 3 to 4 days at the end of the month just to qualify for a Top Dasher, and on situation can be. So, guys, be blessed, be wise, and be successful. Take care.